Every generation of Americans that are living today have it easier, much, much easier than the vast majority of humans that have ever lived or who currently live on the globe. All right, finally, this came across my feed. It's an article in Market Watch titled, "Did Baby Boomers Really Have It Easier Than Millennials?" And it dissects this long-running feud, which seems to have really found new life over the past several weeks on social media, this competition between generations to establish who had a more difficult time. And now that competition is especially intense among Gen Z versus Boomers. Every day on X, I see another post about how Gen Z has it so much worse, and sometimes you see the opposite claim. I just saw a kind of a viral post from a Boomer woman who was saying the opposite, that they worked really hard and they had it a lot harder, and so there's just this constant competition going on. This competition, this unending discussion about the war of the generations, right? And I was thinking about this, and I have a few thoughts about it. First of all, there's no question that the younger generations today do have a harder time of it by a number of really important metrics. And this is measurable. It's measurable, right? Housing is more expensive. Everything is more expensive. Inflation is ridiculous. Young people today have to compete in a labor market flooded with third world slave labor, and now also AI. And these are problems that Boomers didn't face. Not only did they not face it, but problems that they created. I mean, they're the ones who let the immigrant invasion happen. They facilitated it, welcomed it, created it. It's not just letting it happen, but this was their handiwork, largely, generationally speaking. And that's just true. Now, on the other hand, it's also true that every living generation of Americans today have it easier. And this is one of this might be the key point. Every time I see this this competition, this is the point that I think everyone needs to understand. Every generation of Americans that are living today have it easier, much, much easier than the vast majority of humans that have ever lived or who currently live on the globe. So you can make the argument if you're Gen Z that you have it harder than the baby boomers did at your age. And I think that's true. I do think that is true. But there's a reason why you're using the baby boomers and you're specifically using the baby boomers in the United States of America. That is what you're using. Because if you expand the comparison any more than that, I mean, if you pull back, right, if you widen the lens any more, then all of a sudden it all starts breaking down, because then you're going to find that the world is full of people who would kill to have your life. And that, again, that's the case historically. And you might say that this undeniable fact of life doesn't make your personal challenges any easier, which, sure, it doesn't. But if we're doing the comparison game, then you have to expand the scope. It's only fair. I mean, either we're going to just say, look, it doesn't matter to compare it. It's not a competition. Who has it harder, who doesn't. Let's just live your life, okay? No matter if anyone has it easier or harder than you, it doesn't do anything for you one way or another. Live your life. And so that's one approach, and we could just do that. I prefer that. But if you're going to get into this obsessive game of they had it easier, well, once you start doing that, okay, well, now we've opened up the comparison conversation, and then you're going to quickly find that, baby boomers were in an enviable position in relation to you, but we're all in a very enviable position in relation to billions and billions and billions of people. And I think that's one of the things that gets lost. And that just brings me to what I think is the main point, which is that, and I know I talk about I get into the generational warfare sometimes too. I know that I'm guilty of that. I think we do have to face the horrific mistakes that baby boomers made, and they did make a lot of, when I say mistake, it makes it sound like it was done accidentally, but the horrifically bad decisions that were made in large part by baby boomers, I think we have to face that. We're dealing with it right now. We got to learn the lessons of history. So some of that is necessary. But the incessant generational warfare, I think the problem is that, especially if you're a young person, especially if you're a young person just starting out in life and you're sitting around just like obsessing over, I wish it was easier. I wish I was born in 1953. It'd be so much easier. Whether that's true or not, to live your life that way and to obsess over that is just, it will kill. It's death. It will kill your potential. Once you start stacking excuses, then you have killed your potential. You've killed your own chance at success. Because you can still succeed in life, but you've killed it. Once you start obsessing over the excuses and just sort of collecting them, which is what a lot of people do. They start collecting excuses and they have them in their pocket, ready to pull out at any moment. And this is, I truly believe, this is the number one dividing line, the thing that separates successful people from unsuccessful people ultimately. Success by however you measure it, in whatever your walk of life, whatever your profession, whatever field, whatever it is. But the thing that separates successful from unsuccessful is that the unsuccessful people collect excuses. The unsuccessful people, when you ask them for when it comes to their own failures or the things that aren't working out, they've got 20 excuses ready to go. They've got them all rehearsed. They have them on a list in their brain, and they just run through them constantly. And successful people don't do that. It's not because they don't have excuses. It's not because they don't have difficult lives. A lot of times these are people that have much more difficult lives. But they don't sit around thinking about excuses. Like they just won't take no for an answer. They're ambitious. They know what they want in life. They're going to go chase it, and they will not take no. They don't want excuses. They're not collecting excuses in their pocket. They're dumping the excuses out and throwing them on the ground. They don't want them. And that's the number one dividing line, I believe. If you'd like to see what else I have to say, you can access my full show by going to dailywire.com or by going to the Matt Walsh Show Twitter page. Hope to see you there. Godspeed.